guys, I'm Victoria Chia, and today I'm going to share a tutorial how to build a FHIR server on Windows with Apache Tomcat as the web server and using PostgreSQL as the database. Okay, so before we start, we must have some understanding about Java language to edit the provided source code. And then next we have to do some installation of the software below. The first one is PostgreSQL. We are going to use this open source object relational database system to store the FHIR resources. And next, the most important one is the FHIR starter source code. We'll be using this HAPI FHIR JPA. HAPI FHIR is a complete implementation of the HL7 FHIR standard for healthcare interoperability in Java. So since we are going to develop this FHIR server on Java environment, then we are going to download the Java Development Kit or JDK. We are going to use this Oracle Java JDK. And then we are going to do some installation of this Apache Tomcat because we are going to use this as the web server. And the last one is the Spring Tool Suite 4. We are going to use this to edit the provided code and to do some debugging. And for the version we are going to use in this tutorial are provided in this column, so you can take a reference of this. And we're going to use the version 12. In this tutorial, I'm going to use a Windows 10 64-bit laptop. So I'm going to choose the Windows 64-bit and yeah, version 12. Okay, so we'll need to wait until it finishes. Okay, the download is finished. Then I'm going to install this on my computer. Okay, click next. And then I'm going to use the default folders, which is C folder. And then yeah, next. And for the password, I'm going to input this one. And I'm going to use the default port. Next. Okay. It will take some time, I think. Okay, the PostgreSQL installation is done. Can skip on this. Okay, now we are going to search pgadmin 4, and then okay, I'm going to input the password I insert before, and then I'm going to choose this PostgreSQL 12, and then we need to set a new password for this user. Let me use the same password. Okay, now we can see here it already have a default database, but I'm going to create a new database. But before create a new database, I need to create a new role. For the default role, it has a Postgres user, but I want to create a new one called new user. And then the password. Next, we need to enable this option, this can login option, and then click save. Okay, so it already created a new user. Now I'm going to create a new database called FHIR Server, and then the owner choose the new created user, which is mine is new user, and then you can save it. Okay, now for the PostgreSQL setting is done. Next, we're going to download the JDK file. I'm going to download the version 15. Here is the version 15, and then I'm going to download the Windows 64 installer here. Okay, click this button. Then I need to log in first. Okay, it will start the download now. Okay, the JDK file is installed now. I'm going to install it on my computer. Okay, click next, and then I'm going to put it on C folder. Okay, JDK file is installed now. Then I'm going to move to the next step, which is installation of Apache Tomcat. I'm going to download the version 9. Here I'm going to download this one, Windows Service Installer. Okay, the download is finished. Now I'm going to install Apache Tomcat on my computer. I agree and then choose full and click next. I'm going to use the default setting. And I'm going to choose the JDK file in C and then program files, Java, and then choose the JDK 15. Click next. Okay, I'm going to put it on C folder. Okay, install. Okay, now the Apache Tomcat is already installed on my computer. Next, I'm going to download the HAPI starter source code in GitHub. And I'm going to download the latest version. So just download zip. Okay, it will be quick. And then I'm going to extract it on the tutorial folder. I think I have downloaded before. I'm going to delete and then extract here. Okay, I'm going to rename it. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to install the Spring Tool Suite using the version 4.14 and for Windows. Okay, and the Spring Tool Suite is already downloaded and I'm going to extract it first. After double click on it, it extract it as a folder and I'm going to move it into tutorial here. Okay, now we are going to open the STS. First, what we need to do is setting a workspace directory and I'm going to use tutorial here. I'm going to give it a name, FHIR 1. Okay, I'm going to use this folder as the directory launch. If next time you want to change the directory, you can choose here, switch workspace, and then click other. Okay, now we are going to set in the JDK file from window and then preferences. Find the Java here and then wait, install JRE and then choose add button, standard VM next, and browse the JDK file. I store it on C and then program files, Java here. Select folder and then click finish and make sure you check box on the JDK file. Click apply. Next, we are going to setting the Apache Tomcat on this server and then runtime environment. Click add button and then choose the Apache. Currently, I'm using the version 9 and then click next. Browse the related file. Mine is on C and then program files, Apache Software Foundation, Tomcat 9, select folder. Okay, click finish, apply and close. Now I'm going to import the HAPI Starter project. Click import and then Maven, existing Maven projects. Click next and then browse the HAPI Starter project. Click here and then select the folder and make sure to check box on the pom.sml file. Then click finish. Let's see you can show the progress bar by click the window and then show view. Choose the progress. Here we can see the loading. Actually, the HAPI project already show up in the package explorer menu. Okay, now I'm going to this folder, source main resources. We are going to do some setting on the application.yml. In the line 16, you can see a data source, which means we need to do some setting about database here. And since we are using PostgreSQL as the database, so we need to change the URL. You can go to the HAPI GitHub website, and then we can search PostgreSQL configuration. Here we can just copy this, okay, and then put it here. I'm going to delete the old file. In this URL, JDBC, PostgreSQL, and I'm going to use localhost, but if you want to use the public IP, you can change it here. For example, like this. But I'm going to just use the localhost. And then for the port, I'm going to use the default port. And this is the database name. My database name is FHIR Server. And then for the username, mine is new user, and then for the password, I'm using root. And then for driver class name, make sure that you copy the right driver, which is PostgreSQL. And then next, we are going to do some setting for the in 143 line. We can see a home and then server address. Here, I'm going to use localhost for my FHIR server base URL, and then the port I'm going to use 080. And in FHIR server URL, it need to be ended with /FHIR. So don't miss this. And then next, if we use the default server address, then it will be put into the root directory. But if you want to move your file into a folder, for example, in a folder called Victoria, then you need to define it here. You can customize the server address in here. And then if you want to change it into Victoria, then we need to right click on this HAPI project and choose properties. Choose the under the validation, we can see a web project settings. The default is root, and if you are using /Victoria, then here you also need to change this. You need to change this context root. But I'm going to just use the root directory, so I just let it to be a / and apply and close. Click OK, and then I'm going to delete this. Okay, then I'm going to create a server for debugging. Can choose window and then show view. Click others and choose server to show up the server console box. And then we need to click on this link to create a new server. Here we need to choose the Apache version. The box is a bit small, so we can just use a keyboard here. I'm going to find the version 9. Okay, version 9, and the server name I'm going to use testing FHIR server. I click next and then add the HAPI project into the server and click next. Finish. The server is already created. Now I'm going to debug here. A problem just occurred. The server cannot be started because one or more of the ports are invalid. Click OK, and then we need to double click on this FHIR server. Change the Tomcat admin port into 0. Enter and then try to debug again. Yes, save it first. If you see this red sentence message, actually this is just an information, so you don't need to worry. Oh, a problem just occurred again. Server testing FHIR server was unable to start within 45 seconds, so it requires more time. When we are running this server, actually it requires a lot of memory, so we can increase the timeout setting by double click on this and then timeouts. Here the default timeouts is 45 seconds. I'm going to increase it into 600 seconds. Okay, save it and then try to debug again. I hope there's no more problem occur now. Okay, if it runs completely, if you see here server startup in blah 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 milliseconds, it means that the server is already started. So now I'm going to try access it on the browser. Okay, now it works fine. The FHIR server is already built successfully. But now this server is starting on the STS4 here. So basically, if we close this software, the FHIR server will also stop. So now what you are doing is you are going to deploy the FHIR server into a Windows services. But first, we need to stop this first. So I just realized that in the HAPI FHIR project on the line 34, using this line here, we are going to get a problem occurred. So we are going to comment it. Okay. Next, we are going to deploy this HAPI FHIR project by right click on here and then choose export. And then choose web war file, click next, and then choose the destination. We are going to put it under Apache Tomcat. So from C and then program files, Apache Server Foundation, Tomcat 9, and then we must put it under the web apps directory here. I'm going to give it name called root because I'm going to use the root directory. But if you're going to use another subfolder, for example, subfolder here, then you need to change it here. Okay, but currently I'm going to just use root. Click save. Okay, and then finish. Okay, now we can check the WAR file, whether it is completely extract or not. In here, C program files, and then here Tomcat web apps. We can see that the root WAR is already extracted. Now we are going to the services. We are going to start the Apache Windows service here. Right click on it and then choose start. Okay, now we can see that the root var is already deployed into a root file. So now I'm going to access the local host. If you're going to see the server log, the Tomcat log file, you can choose logs folder, and then here there are a lot of txt or log file. We can check the error in this stderr. Currently it works fine. If you see server or error, then it means there's a problem, and then it will take some time for it to loading. So we just need to wait for a while. Okay, here we can see that the FHIR server is already built successfully. Here is the FHIR page URL. I'm going to try searching the person resources. Okay, the total is 0 currently because we haven't posted any data. So now I'm going to try post a person. Here we can CRU the operations, and then I'm going to create a new resources, but I think I'm going to find some example in FHIR person examples, and then okay, I'm going to use this. Just copy all of this data and then paste it here. For the managing organization, I'm going to delete it since we haven't post any organization yet. And then okay, I'm going to create this, and the result is, yeah, it's created successfully. And if you reload on this page, we can see that the total is already updated into 1, and here is the FHIR resources we just created. Now we are going to see how the data stored in the PostgreSQL database. We're going to expand this FHIR Server database, and then schemas, public, choose the table, and then there are a lot of tables here. We're going to see the HFG resource, right click on it, and then all rows. And since we just created FHIR person just now, so there is only one row here. And we can see in this column, rest type, the FHIR resources type is person. Okay, I think that's all for today's sharing. I also have some documentation for this tutorial on the HAPMD website, and I'm going to provide this link into the description box. And if you have any question, you can just leave it on the comment box, and I will try my best to help you resolve it. And I will also post a video related to the error that I encountered when preparing this tutorial. So see you next time. Bye bye.